Hey everyone, it's Mike. During this video, I'm going to talk about Armodafinil, which is a nootropic that I discovered 7 years ago, and wow, am I glad that I discovered it. Let this video be your guide. We're going to go over the benefits, we're going to go over the side effects, the appropriate dosages, and I'll talk, of course, about my personal experience throughout using it, and stay tuned to the end of the video where I will compare it to Modafinil, and I'll talk about some other nootropics that can really complement the use of Armodafinil. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is a nootropic that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of students, and a lot of ambitious people are beginning to use to improve their productivity. And the way people are able to achieve these higher levels of productivity is by using Armodafinil, and that Armodafinil is a wakefulness agent, meaning it's not necessarily a stimulant, but you'll feel more aroused, you'll feel more alert under the influence of it. And that's where it's really impressed me. I was looking really for like a limitless pill, if you've seen the movie, a pill where I could really just transform my life and be the best me. And that's how I discovered Armodafinil. Not necessarily that it met that expectation, but it definitely did enhance my performance and I was very impressed. What are the benefits of Armodafinil? You're gonna have much improved mental clarity. You're gonna have an improved ability to focus. It has very mood enhancing effects. It can help you with depression. It can help you with anxiety. You'll even feel a little bit of euphoria. It actually serves somewhat as an appetite suppressant. So if you're on a cutting diet or you're restricting your calories or you're doing intermittent fasting, then Armodafinil also serves as a great tool. It's very effective at reducing impulse decisions, like making bad decisions or emotionally reacting to something where you know that you shouldn't be. It'll increase your resistance to fatigue, meaning you'll be able just to concentrate for a long period of time. If you're somebody that needs breaks, and there's nothing wrong with that, with taking a break every 2 to 3 hours, under the influence of Armodafinil, you're just able to pile through your work and just maintain this really nice level of concentration where you're engaged, you're present, and you're in a very resourceful state. What really interested me about Armodafinil is that there are essentially no side effects, or no side effects that would really concern you. Some people do experience like slight headaches or moderate headaches, but they're usually nothing too severe, and that is again what makes Armodafinil better in my opinion than Modafinil. As myself included, you can experience some pretty severe headaches with Modafinil, even if you're doing all the right things, like you're hydrating throughout the day, like you're taking a good choline source like CDP choline or like alpha GPC. What's so is those Modafinil headaches are very different than what you experience with Armodafinil, which is why I like Armodafinil. But I would say in the grand scheme of things, I like Modafinil more. It just depends on what you are using it for, in my opinion. Where Armodafinil serves a better purpose is if you're sleep deprived. Let's face it, when you're sleep deprived, it's gonna affect almost everything in terms of the umbrella of cognition. It's gonna affect your short-term memory, your long-term memory, your ability to solve complex problems, and your mental as well as physical energy is just plummeted, but not with Armodafinil. Armodafinil, I feel, is more effective that way than Modafinil, but under the influence of Armodafinil, your skills are pretty much back to baseline, and that's what makes it different than Modafinil. It's been my experience that Armodafinil is a lot better if you're sleep deprived, and something really cool about Armodafinil is you are still able to have naps. Like if you're on a day when you've just slept 5 or 6 hours and you need to have that nap is very, very difficult with Modafinil. But under the influence of Armodafinil, also known as Nuvigil, you're just able to have that nap and just get to a level of deep sleep and have dreams which could not be achieved under Modafinil. So it's really cool in that it's just essentially like a wakefulness agent, whereas with caffeine, again, you just experience that peak so quickly and then that crash and then it's essentially gone. But with Armodafinil, you're just able to take it and just be very, very, very productive for about 9 or 10 hours straight. With the dosages, I would recommend that you do assess your tolerance and you start at something as low as like 50 milligrams just once at the beginning of the day. If you take it later in the day, it will naturally interfere with your sleep. You may be able to fall asleep, but you may be unable to achieve those levels of deep sleep and that REM. So definitely do assess your tolerance, start with a very low dose, and what's really neat about Nuvigil Armodafinil is that you'll notice it working that first day. It's not like the Racetams, like Racetam or Racetam, where you have to take it for 3 weeks straight until you notice the results. This is under that class of nootropics you would feel the exact same day, and for that reason, it's not something you would want to take every day as it's just very strong. So start low to assess your tolerance, and if it is not working, then on another instance, you can try a higher dosage like 75 milligrams to maybe 100 milligrams. And for this, you'll likely need like a milligram scale, and you'll need the powder, which you can buy from Nootropics Depot, or you could probably find on Amazon. I'll see if I can put a link in the description box. Therefore, you would really be able just to dose it accurately so you know what works for you moving forward. When it comes to nootropics and when it comes to substances like these, and unfortunately it is highly variable in that it's going to depend from person to person. But with the adaptogens, things like rhodiola, bacopa, ashwagandha, these all seem to work for most people and they're not as variable, but it's focus enhancers, stuff like Armodafinil, stuff like Modafinil, Adrafinil, and especially the Racetams or Noopept, which are going to be variable. So you want to be engaged in some sort of project where you're working to your max, as that is the best way to test these. Like if you're a student who has a project and a deadline has to be met, or if you're, for example, in sales like myself, and you have to meet your sales quota, so you're spending more hours in the office, those are days when you would want to experiment with Armodafinil and really just test if it's working, as you would have objective measures to go by. Let's talk a little bit more about the differences of it versus Modafinil, as they do serve different purposes. What's special about them is that they're both used for a lot of different scenarios, for students, for entrepreneurs, even for artists, like somebody who's a musician or a painter. I find that things like Modafinil, Armodafinil, or Adrafinil can sometimes just help you see things from a different perspective. What's so is with Modafinil, I do find that your ability to concentrate and focus is much better. Your memory may not be as good, things like your word recall, and I also find that I'm very impatient when I'm using Modafinil. It's difficult to have conversations with people as I'm just overly stimulated to the point that if they are not extremely engaging, I just lose interest in conversating with them. But Modafinil is appropriate if you're somebody that is doing like office work. If you're behind a desk, behind a computer, and you just want to concentrate for like 10 hours straight, it's great. Like the ideal instance when I would choose to use Modafinil is when it's tax season. If I'm not delegating my work to a bookkeeper or to an assistant that can help me with accounting and I have to do it myself, I have to sit behind a desk for 10 hours, look at receipts, do stuff on Excel, I'm taking Modafinil as it wins in that context. But if you're looking to be like well-rounded and to be resourceful when you're immersed in different types of activities, then Armodafinil is much better. So if you're somebody that is like doing presentations, having to read, and having to solve complex problems like make business plans, then go to Armodafinil, but just be cognizant that it's very addictive. Like people have some bad tendencies to take Armodafinil, sleep less, and then just take more Armodafinil to justify for it, and then you just get on this bad cycle. From my experience, there's other nootropics that can really nicely complement the effects of Armodafinil. Like if you're not taking adaptogens, irregardless of Armodafinil, you should definitely be testing and trying rhodiola, rosea, bacopa, and ashwagandha, like the KSM-66. These things can work wonders when it comes to calmness, anxiety, feeling more present, and just fighting fatigue in general. But once you blend these with Armodafinil, boy, you are gold and you can get just a lot done and be your best self. Alongside that, I will note that things like Noopept and the Racetams are very effective. Paracetam, Aniracetam, Pramiracetam, and Oxiracetam, I'm using those on most days, and I'm still using them on days when I am on Armodafinil or Modafinil, as they can really improve with certain aspects. Like Aniracetam can do very special things when it comes to word recall and social anxiety, and Pramiracetam just helps to shut down your emotions and be able to concentrate longer on things. Fortunately and unfortunately, this is a journey. You're gonna have to keep trying and testing and find out what works for you. But I'm such a believer in things like Armodafinil that I had to put out this video so that you can be your true best self. Adrafinil, fortunately, can be purchased over the counter, like I think on Nootropics Depot or even Amazon, but I'm not a fan of Adrafinil personally. Although it can improve your concentration and slightly help you to fight off fatigue, you'll just be too irritable to the point that like anything makes you upset or just ticks you off. You just have this bad temper, which is not the productive type of temper. And if you're experiencing the headaches with Armodafinil, it's likely because of dehydration. So I'm typically sipping on like a gallon of water. I have at least a gallon of water every single day. And then I have a good choline source at least twice per day. My favorite is alpha GPC. I'm taking about 300 milligrams of alpha GPC. I would say once every 5 to 6 hours, and that really does help, especially on days when I'm taking Armodafinil or Modafinil. I have made another video on Modafinil. I'll put the link here as well. Hope you guys found this helpful. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell if you want to see more videos. Be sure to comment. I look at all comments and I try to respond within 24 hours. Give me a like or a dislike, I don't mind. And again, it's Mike talking about Armodafinil. I hope you got some value out of this video, and I look forward to seeing you soon. You know about Modafinil. Now this video be your guide. Firstly,